Hey, what's up guys? Trevor with Shadow Systems. It's Technical Tuesday. We're out at the range today and we're going to talk a little bit about manipulating a slide on a gun. I've trained some people recently in our own workforce. We do like this little round table for those shooters who are kind of new to guns, and I'll usually pop in and spend some time with the people that are really brand new. That, by the way, is a big part of your responsibility as a gun owner, I believe, is to share it with people that are new in a non-threatening way that makes them interested and want to be a part of the sport. So anyway, I've been doing that recently, and one of the things that kept coming up with it is how to grab a slide. And it made me want to do a quick overview of just gun manipulations in general. So we're going to do racking a slide right and left, releasing a magazine right and left, releasing a slide release right and left, just really fast. Okay, so the natural inclination for someone who's new is to want to grab the gun and pull the slide back like this. And I totally get that. A couple comments. One is, hey, let's make sure that if we are doing a thumb forward grab, we're off of the ejection port. So either here or here, okay? That's what the front serrations are for, but probably here. One thing that new people will struggle with a little bit is how to pull the slide back. New shooters will kind of, even if they're fairly physically strong, they'll still be thinking about pulling it back, and it kind of becomes this difficult task. The way I like to think of it, or to tell people that are new, is just think about squeezing the slide. Just think about squeezing the slide hard and pushing with your other hand. Pushing it straight through your hand, okay? All right, so that's the thumbs forward technique. Just stay off the ejection port. It's probably better, though, to teach new shooters the thumbs backward technique. So thumb pointed at the shooter and up here in this workspace. When your gun's out here, it's more difficult to control. It's easier for somebody to grab. If your gun's back up in here, it's a lot easier to control it if you need to by having it close to your body. So I would recommend for most people, they learn thumbs to the rear to start, okay? I get it. When you're shooting competition and you want to clear a malfunction, you want to leave the gun out. That's its own thing. I'm talking about for somebody who's new, thumb to the rear, in the workspace, rack the gun up top, okay? Or if you're a left-handed shooter, rack the gun up top. All right, so that's how you move a slide. Preferably not like this, okay? All right, and oh, by the way, pull it and let it go. Don't ride the slide forward. I think everybody knows that. Okay, cool. Next is the magazine release. It is reversible, so this is a Generation 4 style frame that we do, or Gen 5 style frame where the magazine can be reversed. So for a right-handed shooter, you should be able to reach it with your thumb. A lot of people will turn the gun slightly. The gun will move slightly in their hand. They're not spinning it all the way around, they're just turning the gun slightly to hit the button. If you were a left-handed, it would be the same deal, just a slight turn. Notice my finger's off the trigger. So finger off the trigger, slight turn, right? Okay. You can also, if you're a left-handed shooter and you do not want to remove the magazine button and reverse it, you can also use your index finger. So for those folks, they would bring their index finger down and push the button like this. Shooting, 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 index finger to release the magazine. Some people even think that that's faster. Right-handed shooters kind of like that. Some right-handed shooters will move the button to the left side of the frame and use their finger, their firing finger, their trigger finger, and that does in some ways make sense because that way you know for sure your finger's off the trigger. So that's an advantage to using your trigger finger, is you're not going to accidentally pull the trigger like you might when you're using your thumb, okay? Okay, then the last piece is slide release lever, okay? Slide release lever, a word of caution. When you apply the slide release lever, let's make sure that you don't point the gun at your arm, okay? So that's a potential way of flagging yourself. A lot of times people will be taking a round out of the chamber when they do this maybe, and you don't want to point it at your wrist or your arm, okay? So just be cognizant of that. Slide release lever, I like to kind of turn the gun to the side a little bit, pull the slide to the rear and push it on, okay? For a left-handed shooter, you can use your index finger and do the same thing and pull it back and lift it up that way. But the slide release lever, once it's on, the question is, how do we take it off? And there are folks that will say that a limitation of our gun is that we don't have a ambidextrous slide release lever. Totally get that. Our position generally, though, is the way you take the slide release lever off when you're shooting is you pull and release the slide. And the reason for that is you get more slide travel, okay? When you pull a slide to the rear and release it, you're getting this much more slide travel when it comes forward. So that makes sure that if your gun's a little dirty or whatever, you're more likely to get the round up the ramp. So that's how we like to release the slide. You can also, of course, use your thumb, or if you're a left-handed shooter dealing with a Generation 4 style gun with a slide release lever on this side, you can also use your index finger. But for most people, the fastest, cleanest, gross motor skill way of doing it is to grab the slide and release it that way. Okay? So that's what we think. Thumbs to the rear for pretty much everything, right? Magazine release button, you can flip it if you want, or you can use your thumb or your firing finger. Slide release lever, you can choose to use it with your thumb or your index finger as a lefty, or do what we prefer, pull and release. All right? Hope that was helpful. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much.